Homage to the fundamental teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. Homage to the wisdom warrior, Manjushri. Homage to all the benevolent lineage masters. Dharma, infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely encountered even in a million eons. Now we can hear, study, and follow it. May we fully realize the Tathagata's true meaning. In order to liberate all sentient beings from samsara, please generate the supreme bodhicitta before we start today's teaching. With this intent, let's continue with the study on the qualities of the seven-line prayer. Through learning the qualities of the seven-line prayer, I think that many Dharma friends will come to the understanding of its outer, inner, and secret qualities, as well as its immense qualities. If time permits, I hope that you will make this prayer a regular practice. Most of all, recite it with devotion, along with wisdom and compassion, are particularly essential in Dharma practice. For any genuine Buddhist, faith is fundamental. For those who have the conviction towards the three jewels, spiritual teachers, and the Four Noble Truths, there will be no difficulties for their wishes of this life and future lives to be fulfilled. Without such conviction as the root, whether one might appear to be wise, eloquent, capable, and skilled in certain aspects, these qualities lack a foundation. However, such a conviction can be cultivated. Some people are born with a firm devotion towards what is virtuous, and they hardly generate any unwholesome thoughts. People's mindsets vary, which is mostly due to the individual karmic accumulations from previous lives. Some may be intelligent, but they are occupied by judgmental and distracting ideas most of the time. They are always judging and criticizing. Everything that they see, hear, or have contact with is rough, ugly, and unpleasant to their perception. Such attitude brings no benefit to one's mind stream and practice. That's why we should practice the pure perception, especially when we hear about the qualities of the Guru and the Three Jewels. We should generate a joyful mind and be reverent. This point is so important that our lineage masters cannot stress it enough. Alright, let's carry on with the qualities of the Guru Rinpoche. In the last lesson, we learned some verses from the Secret Guide to Accomplishing the Guru. Today we will continue with it. In joy and sorrow, fortune and adversity, in death, in life, in this world and the next, in every circumstance, both now and ultimate, in good or ill, you are my hope, my knowing refuge. No other hope is there for me. Oh, Urging Guru, you who know I trust in you. Again and yet again, pray thus to me. Previously, we have learned that Guru Rinpoche is the embodiment of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Be happy or in pain, whatever pleasure and suffering we experience, either encountering a fortune or an adversity, whether in this life or future lifetimes, with concerns related to living and dying, temporary and ultimate benefits, we pray only to Guru Rinpoche, the all-knowing and omniscient refuge. I entrust everything to you, counting on you. In this world, I have no other refuges. Some take refuge in the forest spirits, some in totikas, while others rely on the powerful people. But these refuges provide us with nothing more than a temporary shelter. The most ultimate refuge is you, Guru Rinpoche. the very embodiment of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 10 directions. We must invoke Pamasambhava wholeheartedly with sincere devotion. This is very important. Rest assured that Guru Rinpoche knows everything. We often utter Guru Rinpoche Qing or Lama Qing. If you uphold this confidence at all times while praying and contemplating again and again, then you will surely accomplish the state of Guru. Nowadays, many people fail to perform a decent spiritual practice. This is due to the lack of diligence, that their mantra recitation is short of number or of poor quality, merely reciting for 10,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 times. They feel stressed out with this huge assignment. Take Guru Yoga, for example. According to the tradition of Jigme Limpa, normally we should recite the Vajra Guru mantra 10 million times. Yet, a lot of people are petrified by this number, thinking that 10 million is an impossible figure. I once read in Khenpo Ngawang Pelzang's biography that his guru told him that in accordance with the instruction of the Venerable Jigme Limpa, one should recite the Vajra Guru mantra 10 million times. But this time, he must finish 30 million times of recitation. The assignment of reciting 30 million times was given by the Guru. During Khenpo Pazang's first cycle of 10 million recitation, for each 100 chants, he will recite once the prayer of invoking and bestowing accomplishments. During his second cycle of the 10 million, he repeated the supplication prayers every 1,000 times. I remember an interesting story of him. While he was practicing the Vajra Guru mantra, he would go to his guru's house at noon after eating like Master Peng Huan. His guru would circumambulate his own retreat house 25 times. And Khenpo always followed his guru right behind. The teacher used to wear a wolf pelt around his waist with Tibetan style of knee-high boots. Perhaps you have seen those around. They are the traditional Tibetan footwear with laces that are easily untied and dragging. His guru would often say, "My tail is dragging." When he needed to use the washroom, he would ask Khenpo Ngawang Pelzang to hold the tail for him. Once, when his guru was about to use the washroom, without thinking too much, Khenpo asked if he should hold the tail for his teacher. His guru said, "I don't blame you for talking like this. I started it, so you have picked up the wrong manner. That's not how you should regard your guru." Then he quoted the Vajra words from the Buddha, "Who sees me by form, who seeks me in sound. Perverted are his footsteps upon the way, for he cannot perceive the Tathagata." He quoted this to say that we must regard the spiritual teacher as the Dharmakaya Buddha. Even seeing him in the Sambhogakaya form is not appropriate, let alone the physical form. Calling the spiritual teacher as someone with a tail is unacceptable. So, according to his biography, Khenpo Ngawang Pelzang recited the first 20 million. Regarding his story on reciting the 30 million, my memory is a little fuzzy now. I think he finished it because his guru required him to do so. He also finished the 500,000 times of the preliminary practices and memorized the words of my perfect teacher. We know that Khenpo Ngawang Pelzang is the living emanation of Vimalamitra. All his experiences, day and night, are the miraculous display of wisdom. But in front of people, he appeared to be a very ordinary man. Yet he inspired sentient beings with his earnest manner for practice and how he followed his teacher. As the followers of these great masters, we inevitably see some people who claim to attain clairvoyance or attain an extraordinary realization so that they are excused from preliminary practices or mantra recitations, etc. Whenever I hear such statements, I would disagree, though not always verbally. We can see the examples of many Buddhist masters from the Chan school or the Vajrayana tradition, that the higher their realization is, the more they are cautious of karmic consequences. They will pay more attention to their conduct on the level of relative truth, such as reciting mantras and more. Therefore, it is a good thing that many Dharma friends are studying and practicing systematically. We should practice the Dharma step by step. In particular, we should focus on Guru Yoga. This is why the words of my perfect teacher teaches that the Vajraguru mantra should be recited 10 million times. For many people in the city, this is an impossible number. But without going through this, it won't work only by saying that you want to unionize your mind with the wisdom of the Guru. Oh Lama, does my mind resonate with yours? I think it does, because when I saw you for the first time, I could feel that you are very, very compassionate. I felt that my mind is closely connected with yours. But these days, I feel that my devotion has faded somehow. Such a feeling of resonance is nothing more than a temporary feeling of contact or an improper thought. This may happen to anyone you meet, due to the positive or negative karma from previous lives. You may have different feelings towards different individuals. Nonetheless, the most important thing is to take action and to genuinely pray. As stated in this verse, at all times, entrust everything to Guru Rinpoche, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of all directions. Then in this life, whether in happiness or pain, in sickness or good health, I depend all on them, the omniscient ones who know it all. As some people often say, Lama, I will do as you say. You should hold such devotion towards Padmasambhava as well. In my life, either to live a long life or to die young, I trust you to arrange everything for me. I rely on you to govern my whole being. With such devotion, your mind stream will definitely align with the Dharma and the realization of noble beings. Although I do not have a high spiritual attainment, however, through all these years of study and practice, I feel that in this age of degeneration, it is important for everyone to engage actively and consistently in profound practices, especially the Guru Yoga of Padmasambhava. If you do so, whatever hindrances or obstacles you may come across cannot distract you from virtuous determination. Otherwise, in this chaotic era, despite some people who may be inspired by Buddha Dharma to generate an affinity and become extremely diligent in practice, it is somewhat difficult for them to maintain that devotion and perseverance in the long run. So, pray to Guru Rinpoche at all times. This is a noble practice and is extremely crucial. Here the text goes, attaining me, all other Buddhas you attain. All other Buddhas do you see in seeing me, for I am the embodiment of all the Sugatas. If we practice the Guru Yoga of Padmasambhava, then we will attain the realization of all Buddhas. There is no need to do the practice of other Buddhas one by one, since perfecting this Dharma practice accomplishes all. If you see Padmasambhava, then you see all the noble ones. Because Guru Rinpoche is the embodiment of all Sugatas. When Dinju Limpa was 12, he saw Guru Rinpoche in person. From then on, many treasure texts and pure visions spontaneously appeared to him. According to the biography of the Venerable Longchenpa, when he was 28 years old, once when he was giving teachings, he saw Guru Rinpoche, and then received the empowerment of the Khandro Nyingtik. Another time, Longchenpa journeyed to a pure land of Dakini, and received the oral transmissions of the Khandro Nyingtik directly from the Dakinis. His name, Dreamer Ozel, Stainless Ray of Light, was best styled by Guru Padmasambhava, while the name Dorji Zitzi, Vajra of dynamic brilliance was given by Rishi Tsogya. Of course, we as ordinary beings can hardly compare with these great masters. But we should know that those people whose dharmic activities are particularly extensive all have been more or less blessed by Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and in particular by Guru Rinpoche. With such blessing, their existence is spontaneously beneficial to sentient beings. If our minds have not been moistened by their blessing and remain like dried up weed lacking water, no matter how loudly we cheer to benefit beings, we are unlikely to really achieve it. So for those who have the aspiration to propagate the Dharma and benefit beings, firstly, you must practice to a certain level of accomplishment. Then, with whatever you wish to deliver, you will be able to move others, influence, and bless them. Here it says, "With those who have devoted hearts I stay. For them, I am never separate. For those with pure devotion and veneration, Padmasambhava has never left them and gone for the Nayat Ling, the continent of Rakshas. He will appear in front of you anytime as soon as you invoke him, like the guide to a blind man, bringing you comfort, blessing, and removing the obstacles on your path, and so on." This is how he cares for you. As far as space itself extends, so living beings there are found. As far as karma and defilements last, the swift are my activities. As space is boundless, there is no limit to the number of sentient beings. As sentient beings are immeasurable, so are their karma and defilements. In such space and time that see no limit, there is no limit to the activities of Padmasambhava either. His activities and blessing of embracing and benefiting beings are becoming increasingly fast. We have mentioned that other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas' activities will go through times of prosperity and of decline. But the more defiled the world is, and the more corrupted the time is, the stronger the blessing of Padmasambhava gets. Like the analogy we used previously, his blessings are like the sun and moon shining upon the minds of sentient beings. The darker the time becomes, the brighter are his blessings. So in the dark age, it is particularly vital to pray to Padmasambhava, our soul protector. Nowadays, many people do not have strong confidence in Guru Rinpoche and Vajrayana. I'm not saying that their Dharma practice is bound to fail, but obstacles will surely arise. Although some are not very gifted with intelligence, capability, and right views, but they hold an exceptional faith towards Padmasambhava since childhood. On the basis of such faith, which is hard to come by, they will perfect their Dharma practice. As His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok often said in lectures, that in the age of degeneration, it really and truly is very, very vital for us to pray to Padmasambhava. Hence, we should recite this prayer as often as possible. So long as one has faith, it is not difficult to recite the 7-line prayer. Anybody can resound it. It's just a matter of not enough number of recitation. The attendant of Mipham Rinpoche, Lama Osil, recited 1,300,000 times of the 7-line prayer, which is quite long compared to 1,300,000 times of the Vajraguru mantra. This example demonstrates just how strong the conviction that the practitioners of the old time held. Whereas people today are easily distracted, hence Buddha Dharma is so needed in our age. Should Buddha Dharma be absent, we can never really find the true freedom, since our minds are bombarded by waves of information. In the old days, even if people don't live in solitary places such as monasteries, their minds wouldn't be restless and distracted. since the environment at large was relatively peaceful. Under such an environment, people's minds stay rather peaceful. Today, due to all sorts of temptations from the outside world, we are stimulated by all kinds of forms, sounds, smells, tastes, etc. Apart from few practitioners who have achieved stability in their practice, we can hardly control our minds and stay calm. At this time, without the blessings of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and an unfaltering faith, it is difficult to carry on with our Dharma practice without any setbacks. Now this is the time to allow Buddha Dharma to dissolve into our minds. Rather than just talking about receiving a certificate of refuge, shaving your head, and putting on a monastic robe. These are not very difficult to do. Anyone, if they wish, can have their head clean-shaved in a few minutes. With a couple of hundred renminbi dollars, one can buy the monastic robes and appear like a monk right away. Some people say, "Look, Lama, I have become a monk now. Don't I look great?" To become a monk for a good look is not appropriate. To dress like a monk is easy, but it is difficult to become a real practitioner whose mind has truly embraced Buddha Dharma and have given rise to renunciation, bodhicitta, the realization of impermanence, and others, let alone to attain the profound state of Vajrayana, such is the great perfection. In order to give rise to these realizations, it takes more than 1 or 2 days of effort, except for very few fortunate ones. There are individuals in both Chan and Vajrayana Buddhism who reach enlightenment with a simple instruction, but such cases are very few nowadays. In Vajrayana Buddhism, the situation is better that there are still a number of practitioners who practice tantric teachings tirelessly. Around many monasteries in the Tibetan area, there are still many retreat centers up and running. Of course, there are also keen practitioners within the school of Chan Buddhism. But now, Chan has become too secularized and commercialized, which seems to go against the real Chan teaching on realizing the nature of the mind. The other day, I watched a DVD. On the cover, the title reads, "The Profound Chan Buddhism of China." The cover design had a picture of a monk. I assumed this monk would give a nice teaching, that I should immerse myself in the culture of Chan Buddhism, so I played it on my computer to have a look. But it turned out that he was teaching people how to buy tea. Then I stopped it. I have a lot of pu'er already, and I don't want to buy any more tea. So I stopped the film. Of course, it is okay to approach Chan Buddhism through different cultural perspectives, but most importantly is the essence it offers. For example, when we talk about Chan, what is its central idea? To realize the true nature of the mind. But where are these measures? Teachings, lineages of Chan that reveal the nature of the mind. These are what we should aspire for and what we need the most. Other things such as investing in the stock market, sales, how to make tea blends, etc. Even without Buddhist influence, people have smart ways to deal with these concerns. Americans have their American tea culture. The Japanese have their traditional way of tea making. Most fundamentally, what we need the most is what people are still ignorant of, to uncover the nature of the mind, taught in Buddhism, or the unbelievably wonderful and subtle Dharma expounded by Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. It is beyond the comprehension of countless ordinary people. Therefore, those who have attained enlightenment and those who are not yet enlightened but have a profound understanding of Buddha Dharma, who have experienced the taste of Buddhism, should pass it on for generations. This is to sustain the life of Buddha Dharma. Thus, it won't bring too much benefit if Buddhism becomes too secularized. Of course, Buddha told us to act accordingly to the wishes of beings. When His Holiness Jime Ponso Rinpoche taught us in the Song of Victory, he said, compliance does not mean being without principles. I do not mean that we should become greedy just to be attuned with greedy people. Nor when we meet an angry person should we think that we should become furious too, just for the sake to fit in. I do not mean this. We should see whether it is meaningful when we act alone with people's interests. If it is, we can respond to their wishes at that time. Later, when the occasion is appropriate, we can turn his mind toward the Dharma. This is the real meaning of complying with sentient beings. It is written in the notes on the practice of the Guru as the gathering of secrets. If you wish for swift completion of the two accumulations, attainment of the quintessential goal, then, rather than the tantras of the commentaries of the resultant Vajra vehicle of secret mantra, meditate upon the Guru. Vajrayana is also called the resultant Vajra vehicle of the secret mantra. The resultant Vajra vehicle includes extensive Tantra and Sadhana teachings. Of course, we can attain enlightenment if we practice it. But if one wishes for a swift completion on accumulating merit and wisdom, and wishes to master the ultimate essence of all dharmas in a very short period of time, then you must practice Guru Yoga. Guru Yoga is the swiftest, the most profound, and crucial practice. This Guru Yoga refers to the practice of Pamasambhava. We must practice the Guru Yoga of Pamasambhava, relying on him as our root Guru. Many people wish to attain enlightenment through Vajrayana practice. In any case, do not forsake the practice of Guru Yoga and take up another practice in order to attain enlightenment. You won't succeed. According to many masters from Sakyapa, Gelugpa, or Nyingmapa, when one's Guru and the Yidam deity appear at the same time, one should choose to receive blessing from the Guru, not the deity. Treat the Guru as the true Buddha. If you practice the Guru Yoga of Pamasambhava with such faith, attainment is promised. Likewise, the Nectar Spring Tantra declares, compared with a meditation on 100,000 deities, meditation on the one and only Guru is supreme. Meditating on 100,000 deities like Avalokiteshvara, Manjushri, and so on will certainly bring about immeasurable merit. But if you really want to reach attainment in a short period of time, then practicing the Guru Yoga is far superior to the other practices. It surpasses the practices on the generation and completion stages. Therefore, the practice of Guru Yoga is extremely important. Especially the practice of Pamasambhava, in my opinion, is extremely beneficial for each individual to swiftly attain enlightenment, and brings immense benefit to present life and the coming death. In the Lala Sonam Chodrup's biography, it describes that when he was near his death, he said to his attendant Aso, I'm about to leave this world. Now you better make some room because Guru Rinpoche is here. The attendant stepped aside in awe to make room. Then Rinpoche laid in the sleeping lion's posture and passed away in the state of being indivisible with Guru Rinpoche. Throughout his whole life, Lala Sonam Chodrup Rinpoche engaged in practices of Pamasambhava and Manjushri. When he gave teachings to guide his numerous disciples, he often quoted Pamasambhava's fifth instructions. So, when we practice Guru Yoga, it's very important to remain mindful that our own mind is no different from that of Pamasambhava himself. I shall stop here as this is an instruction on the tantric level. Right, this belongs to the secret mantra yana that should be kept secret for now. Recently, we better recite the Vajra armor mantra to protect ourselves against the H1N1. Due to individual circumstances, some of you are very scared, some not so much. Anyways, as practitioners, we shouldn't fear living and dying. If you are scared about living and dying, it means your practice still has much to improve. We should be fearless in the face of death. Imagine that you get the H1N1. At that time, you will know your level of practice. That's the best timing to put your practice to the test. And the invocation for the 10th day, a treasure text of Ratnalimba, contains these words of Guru Rinpoche. Through me the lotus born, and through my virtuous thought for others' good. Treasure finders, emanations will appear at different times and will bring forth deep treasures. This is a treasure text named the Invocation for the 10th day. In fact, there are many dharmas, sadhanas concerning the 10th day. I remember treasure revealer Dechen Lempa of Doma Monastery had a very large volume of the scripture. Every 10th day of the 5th month, all the monastics of this monastery would perform a Vajra dance and recite this prayer for 3 or 4 days. This prayer is very profound that contains immense blessing. There are many prayers regarding the auspicious 10th day from other tertons as well. I remember in the 70s, when religion was restricted, a neighbor of ours was the chant master from Doma Monastery. He had the treasure prayer for the 10th day at home. It was a very large and long volume of text. Because he was a monk, officials would search his house quite frequently. He was very worried. He asked us for help to hide this text in our house. We didn't have monks in our family, so the officials didn't mind us as much. We were quite young back then. Tibetan nomads move seasonally in winter and summer. We move our tent here and there. Each time we've moved to a new place, my brother and I will look for a proper hole to hide the text. On the road, we didn't have to worry about checkpoints, as they wouldn't check us. But once we arrived in a new place, we will wrap the scripture carefully and look for a cave. For 6 or 7 years, we managed to keep the text secured with us secretly. Later, when the ban on the religious practice was lifted, we gave the text back to him. It was indeed the one last copy that remained. During the Cultural Revolution, many texts were destroyed. The old monk said, this was the only copy in our monastery. If destroyed, even if there would be opportunities to perform a puja, our monastery would not be able to do so on the 10th day without the ritual. Later, as religious freedom was more secured, this scripture was indeed the only surviving copy. Local people thought that what he did was heroic, but the truth was us who gave him the big help. People in his monastery and local folks revered him as a great man for preserving the text. They all praised him highly. My parents were sometimes a little disappointed. In fact, it was us who risked so much to keep it safe all these years. Oh well. So compared to the work of an ordinary scholar, treasure texts are extremely unique with exclusive features. They serve a significant meaning. The language is concise and elegant. The contents are profound and structured, in distinct levels. They are composed of unique literal devices. When you read a Terma, you will notice the differences from ordinary text. That's why people sometimes praise a text. Ah, this sadhana is really good. It sounds just like a Dharma. In the Tibetan region, there have been many Dharmas and tertons. The quintessential teachings of Guru Rinpoche are contained in treasure texts. In spite of wars, natural disasters, and various factors that may lead to the destruction of the world, treasure texts will not be destroyed easily. The reason being that Guru Rinpoche had entrusted these termas to regional spirits, imparted the termas in the tathagatagarbha wisdom of the enlightened disciples bound by his aspiration. He then sealed the termas with his inconceivable and indestructible blessing. For ordinary human beings, as their consciousnesses reincarnate in the process of death and rebirth, memories of previous lives can't be retained intact. But Guru Rinpoche hid termas in his disciples' wisdom mind, the non-duality of appearance and emptiness, or the wisdom of Dharmadhatu. Such wisdom can manifest at any proper time through the tertons' enlightened mind, in the form of dakini script or the symbolic script. His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok used to have many treasure texts in dakini script. I have seen these dakini scripts before. Many of them look like oracle bone scripts. Some are inscribed on tree bark. They are all tiny in 1 or 2 characters. Actually, these 1 or 2 characters are merely a kind of cipher, a cryptograph. Some people may wonder how a large volume of text can fit into a tiny casket, or how 1 or 2 characters in dakini script can reveal large volumes of text. In fact, these scripts are merely a symbol by which Dharma's entire contents can manifest in the terton's wisdom mind. His Holiness said that when the Dharma emerges, the terton has to jot it down immediately. Otherwise, the text will reappear the next day or the day after, over and over again. An old monk who used to be the disciple of the attendant of Dechin Lingpa told me this story a while ago. I don't think that many attendants of Dechin Lingpa are still present this day. Dechin Lingpa used to receive messages urging him to review termas in the middle of the night. He would immediately wake his attendants and tell them where they would be heading. They would trek many mountains and travel all night. So his attendants would always wonder, will our Lama uncover treasure text tonight? Probably we should sleep with our clothes on. Dechin Lingpa's attendants were always prepared. Once, the terton asked an attendant, whose name I can't remember, to follow him immediately to retrieve a Dharma. They traveled all night and arrived on site the next morning. The hidden place was located deep in the woods of the mountain. On their way there, Dechin Lingpa said, "Today, the person who will uncover the treasure text is going to be you, not me." The attendant thought, "I'm just an ordinary man. How could I open up a Dharma?" When they arrived, the Dharma naturally emerged in his mind. "Oh, I remember now. The text can be found here." So, there were cases where some dharmas were revealed by disciples of Dechin Lingpa. There are many fascinating stories revolving around dharmas. Treasure texts have an exclusive feature. They cannot be marred by tathagas. Furthermore, they have other traits such as that they cannot be refuted by intellectual arguments. The words contain extremely profound power of wisdom. Once a dharma is brought forth, it can swiftly benefit immeasurable beings. Just like when the Buddha first turned the wheel of Dharma, many beings attained enlightenment. Every Dharma revealed by a great terton can enhance swift attainment of enlightenment to those with the fortunate connection. Of course, there are also many fake Dharmas. In Pamasambhava's prophecy, he said, when true treasure texts of mine appear and are widely spread in this world, many charlatans will spring up like mushrooms in a meadow. How to tell a genuine terton from an impostor? Mipan Rinpoche has a text called the Discernment Gem that specifically introduces ways to observe tertons. Dorjubchen Jigme Tenpe Nima also has some methods of examination. So, not all the self-proclaimed tertons are authentic. Some contrive a sadhana on their own and call themselves a treasure text revealer. There are always illegitimate tertons, but they hold no place in records, because Pamasambhava never made any prophecies about them, nor did he seal their treasure texts. Without realization, the fancy words, they brag themselves as a terton. This is similar to the situation of some Dharma friends. Although they have not yet reached enlightenment, their arrogance convinced them to believe so. They think Dharma practices are unnecessary. There are really some people who think like that, but this is never the case for true treasure texts. Therefore, in this time of degeneration, Dharma is indeed the essence of Vajrayana. As stated here, it is through his virtuous thought for others' welfare that Ugin Rinpoche manifests as various tertons at different times. Each terton master will uncover different dharmas. When these tertons open up the treasure, some discover texts, while some retrieve Buddha statues or treasure casket, or some treasures of sacred objects used in Dharma practice. So Dharma can be in various forms. In the Gelugpa and Sakyapa tradition, there are also a few numbers of Dharmas, but most Dharmas are hidden by Guru Rinpoche. When His Holiness went to the States, some Americans said, "I wish Pamasambhava had visited and blessed America. I wish we could uncover dharmas here." Indeed, spiritual treasures can be found in many places across Tibet, in rocks, in lakes, etc. In one of His Holiness videos, it shows how His Holiness retrieved the Vajrasattva practice from Lake Qinghai. His Holiness was full-figured, but when he was in the water, his body stayed somehow afloat. We also witnessed His Holiness uncovering a Buddha statue in Govo Latse. When His Holiness was in Parataksan, he retrieved a brief sadhana. At that time, His Holiness said, "If I were to retrieve the Dharma now from the Parataksan cave where Pamasambhava attained enlightenment, I could uncover 9-volume texts of the wrathful Pamasambhava practice, but it would be a loss for Bhutan, so I will leave it be for the moment." Then, His Holiness made a vow to retrieve this Dharma of 9-volume text next life. Therefore, he entrusted this Dharma to Dharma protectors and took a short sadhana instead. He also retrieved a Vajrakilaya practice from a cave in Nepal. Another time in Bhutan, His Holiness visited the house of the descendant of Terton, Nyang Ranima Orzel. There was a purba retrieved by this terton. When His Holiness saw the purba, he wrote from his wisdom mind a ritual of the 8 great sadhana teachings. His Holiness requested that the ritual to be kept a secret for 3 years. And after that, it could be widely spread. But 3 years later, I asked His Holiness if the text could be made public. His Holiness said the time was still not right. In fact, if the rituals were made public, people will see how rich the text is. There are many fascinating stories like this, and they really happen instead of being myths. The works of these great tertons are plentiful and can be found in almost every monastery, as it is said in the following part that each region has a local terton. They are like the living presence of Padmasambhava that reminds us of him. Among these tertons, some are not as famous to be known by people. A small town like Sirta has witnessed many great tertons in its history. Some tertons were prolific writers with several dozens of volumes. My hometown, Luho County, is also a small place, yet there have been many tertons as well. Basically, there is a terton in every 1 or 2 monasteries, but they are not known by many people. Their dharmas are practiced only locally by a few practitioners. I once read a treasure text of Lajolingpa, which belongs to Tantra. After reading his text, I found it extraordinary. It was only after I asked around that I realized that he was not famous at all. When he was alive, people didn't know that he was a great terton. There were many cases like this. The kindness of the teacher comes from Urging is not small but great. Every region has a high and hallowed place, a monument where Urging is remembered. He left a holy site in every part of the Tibetan region, where the blessing of Padmasambhava's mind, body, qualities, or activities, etc., had touched. These are all monuments of Padmasambhava. At every frontier there shall be a treasure trove. This too shall be the mark of Urging's memory. And likewise, it is said that the different rituals and practices for the subjugation of evil forces, which in every village are performed by monks or lay practitioners of the sacred mantra, these too are memorials of the master of Urging. There are many termas all over the Tibetan region. Some are rituals and sadhanas, such as the practices of expedient means or subjugation, which, as I just said, are practiced by a very small number of people. We may question the authenticity of the multitude of these dharmas, but then I realized those dharmas were indeed hidden by Padmasambhava, according to the various causes and conditions, for the benefit of all kinds of beings. If briefly told, my ways to benefit are past imagining, and all shall be memorials of me, the Urging Guru, in times to come when people yearn for me and think of me with longing love. Behold, I shall be standing at their side, and all who on the 10th day of the waxing moon recall and make remembrance of me, they and I shall never separate. As it is said here, for those who yearn for Padmasambhava, he will come and bestow empowerments and blessings upon them, especially on the 10th day of each month. As I mentioned earlier, on this auspicious day, whoever yearns for him is never separated from him. So, in the future, try to pray to him on each 10th lunar day every month. Of course, if you are in a good condition to practice, it is very important to pray day and night. But if you really don't have the time, then wherever you are on the each 10th day, recall that Padmasambhava has made an extraordinary promise to us, that he will particularly bless all beings on this day. So pray to him, especially on each 10th day monthly. Make feast offerings and practice his rituals. Then your mind stream will be blessed immensely. I am Padmasambhava. I speak no lies. And so, devoted ones, be happy. I remember in the Footprints on the Journey, I gave a reference from a Dhamma by Bema Limpa. In the time of degeneration, for those who have conviction towards treasure texts, it shows that they had met with Padmasambhava and made great aspirations. Such fortunate ones should rejoice at heart. Now, from your expressions, it seems that many of you are interested in termas. Regarding the prophecy of Bimalingpa, when you have time, I would encourage you to take a look. It means that we have surely made a good connection with Padmasambhava. So we should be delighted. Otherwise, if we have never built a good connection with him, when talking about termas or related topics, we might feel uncomfortable or tend to reject it. How do you feel? Are you happy to hear? Then all of you must have been great disciples of Padmasambhava. According to this reference, I must have been one of his disciples too. To king and court, my followers in Tibet, I say that on the 10th day of the swelling moon, I pledge myself to come, and Padmasambhava does not deceive. When he left the Tibetan region for Ngayat-ling, the continent of Rakshas, he made a promise to the king and the ministers of Tibet that if they were to supplicate Guru Rinpoche on the 10th day of each month, he will be standing by their side. Thus he pledged, I, Padmasambhava, tell no lies. And when you pray with the 7-line invocation, my blessings flow in an unending stream. And when my blessings fall and your meditation blazes, know this as the sign that I am present. When we pray with the 7-line prayer, we will receive unceasing blessings like the streams of a river. Sometimes, when we are praying, we will feel a very good or strong devotion arises within us. These are the signs that Padmasambhava is coming. As ordinary beings troubled by grave karma, we cannot see Padmasambhava with our naked eyes. Unlike those sublime beings in the past, as they practiced, they could see their Yidam Padmasambhava appearing. Some, whose karmic hindrance is mild, could dream or feel Guru Rinpoche blessing them or giving them empowerment. If you can, more or less, feel this, it means that Guru Rinpoche is there. This is the sign that he has come to you. And yet, for me, in truth, there is no going and no coming. You meet me when your karma and your obscurations both are cleansed, according to the prayers and relative perceptions of the ones whom I might train. I am indeed residing in the land of Rakshas. And yet, because the stream of my compassion is unbroken, I am present constantly to those with faith in me. Guru Rinpoche said, in reality, I'm neither going nor am I coming, but for sentient beings with pure karmic propensity, I will appear. From the relative perspective, Padmasambhava has gone to the land of Rakshas and has turned the wheel of Dharma for them in the copper-colored mountain. But out of his compassion for us unfortunate beings, he appears and blesses whoever invokes him. This time, through this teaching, many people have become greatly convinced in the teachings of Padmasambhava and the practice of termas. This faith can inspire an auspicious arising for the enlightenment in this lifetime. One of the many great treasures hidden by Padmasambhava is the longevity water. Regarding the longevity water, there is a historical story related to China and Mongolia. In the Buddhism history of Dzogchen, there was a prominent figure in the Tibetan region called Shakaprabha. He was formidable in the subjugation activity and in revealing treasure texts. At that time, Kublai Khan of Mongolia and his brother were both vying for the throne. Kublai Khan heard about the exoteric practices of the Tibetan tradition. From a guru, he learned the practice of subjugation and recited a certain mantra. Then, he overpowered his brother and assumed the throne. Later, he heard about Shakaprabha, who could uncover the Terma of longevity water. Then he sent a messenger with a letter written in gold, requesting Shakaprabha to reveal the longevity water treasure and offer it to him. If his wish can be fulfilled, he would offer all kinds of convenience to tantra practitioners in the Zan and Wei areas. The history revolving around this terton is documented extensively in the Blue Annals and Dunjun's The Nyingma School of Tibetan Buddhism. Shakaprabha took the messenger from the mainland along with tens of thousands of people to reveal the Dharma. There are two ways to uncover Dharmas. One is to retrieve it secretly. Only the terton himself go to the designated place, such as a cave. Another is done in public. The revelation of the Dharma is made public for everyone to see. That day, it was done openly in a cave. At the entrance of the cave, there was a circling sword wheel which prevented them from approaching. After praying and offering, the terton stopped the sword wheel and successfully went into the cave with others. Inside the cave, it found a large and very strange-looking frog amongst a mess of charcoal. The frog put out its front legs, causing the wind wheel to turn, and it tried to stop them from taking the Dharma. Then, the guru used his mala and recited mantras to clear away obstacles and uncover the Dharma. This Dharma included a statue of Hayagriva, a statue of Vajrayogini, and one of Vajrasattva. There were also 13 scrolls of sadhanas. Under these, there was a lapis lazuli vase containing the water of longevity, hidden by Guru Rinpoche. When he took the vase out, everybody was surprised and thrilled. For the water of longevity, if he were to have the first drink, the offering of the new, he would have lived to 100, but he only put one tiny drop on his tongue to symbolize his acceptance of the offering of the new, then gave the rest to the messenger. The messenger immediately rode away, day and night, back to the mainland region. He delivered the vase to Kublai Khan, who was extremely delighted. He thereby gained longevity, allegedly 100 years. But according to historical documents, he lived almost 80 years, which was a long life anyhow. After that, Kublai Khan offered the convenience that he promised to mantra practitioners of Wei and San, that they were exempted from military services. Khan also gave Shakaprabha pieces of land to build monasteries. Many conveniences were offered by the Mongolians according to history. So, by historical accounts, Dharmas were not only accepted by ordinary people, but also powerful people. Kublai Khan granted the title Pakshi to Shakaprabha, which is equivalent to the imperial preceptor. Although he was not the national preceptor, he offered the longevity water to Kublai Khan, who longed for longevity. So the emperor then granted him this title. The title Pakshi, according to some, is equivalent to that of the imperial preceptor, while judging from other sources, it is the title of the national preceptor. Thus, dharmas left by Padmasambhava have been revered by prominent figures in the past, as well as by ordinary people. They all felt its inconceivability. But only the genuine practitioners, especially those who practice the generation and perfection stages, can experience its incredible blessing, influence, and its effects on Dharma practice. They can truly savor its subtlety and profundity. In the following text, it reads, And so, upon the 10th day of the month, invoke me fervently, knowing you have fallen in samsara. Give to me your mind, your heart, the very vitals of your being. Padmasambhava said that on the 10th day of each month, if we call for him fervently, giving him our heart and devotion, then the danger of falling in samsara can be avoided. These are only some of the unfailing Vajra promises of Guru Rinpoche. There are many more. That's why we should uphold an unwavering faith. In particular, I hope that practitioners in the cities do not reject Vajrayana. Although many of you practice Sutrayana, it does not conflict with practicing Vajrayana at all, which can bestow an exclusive and auspicious blessing. That's it for today.